Hello, and welcome to another edition of 35th Scale Figures in Review. Hey, school's out, one of my sons has graduated, and now it's time to move on to getting some more reviews back up to you folks. I'd like to thank everybody who's kind of stayed with me and subscribed, and this is going to be a summer of subscribing challenges. I need to try to go ahead and get to so many subscribers by the end of August, and then by Christmas time there will be another goal set up. So if you like what you see, go ahead please and get yourself subscribed, because we do have a lot of good things coming down the pipe for you folks. And with that, we kick off this edition with Calvin Tan's Basic Guide to Figure Painting. This is a 2-disc set. Okay, this is head by the master Calvin Tan himself. It is over 3 hours of video instruction and tutorials dealing with the painting of 35th scale figures, and in particular the plastic figures of the new Tamiya US tank crew. They're very good, and he does an excellent job of putting this video together. So sit back, enjoy, and like I said before, okay, if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. But let's get that ball rolling with this review of Calvin Tan's Basic Guide to Figure Painting.
Hi, my name is Calvin Tan, and welcome to my presentation on figure painting. I've been modeling for over 30 years and have amassed quite a number of experiences painting figures. And I hope to lend today's opportunity to share with you some of my experiences and techniques so that you can improve on your personal technique and have a more fulfilling experience modeling.
So, without further ado, let's begin!
Okay folks, and welcome back to another of our videos. It's been a while since I've done one of my videos, but this is a great opportunity to have Calvin Tan's Basic Guide to Figure Painting 2 DVD set. Okay, from the intro you saw, Calvin is one of the best figure painters we have in the world. Okay, and this DVD set is just basically going to be an explanation of how he does things in the basic sense, but also very good for figure painters that are on the advance. Okay, this is his method of how he creates his own wet palette. I did a video earlier about making a wet palette. Okay, this is Calvin's way of doing it, and I've even used a technique from this video of taking a paper towel underneath my palette paper that will help keep that moisture in. He uses parchment paper here, and that's all perfectly fine to be able to do. Now, the purpose of this DVD is not to have a whole lot of video to it. I'm going to try to get as many stills in as I can and explain the stills as we go through this. And so if you wanted to get into this, the purpose of the DVD is Calvin's method of doing things. And if you really like what you see, and you should, okay, you can go ahead and make this purchase of this DVD. I'm going to go ahead and move up to the next part right here, which will talk about his choice of brushes, if I can find it where it needs to be. And as we
to make sure we agitate the paint,
begin moving up here,
and I'll transfer it on to blister packs used for storing pills and capsules, so that it will give us the right consistent. We are using white here in the first alternative to the wet palette.
Okay.
And therefore, this is some of the tool preparation that I've done for the painting.
This next portion right here will show you the type of brushes that he uses.
So first we're going to do...
And these are what he uses, and this is his kind of arsenal, but as you develop as a painter, you're going to have a lot more things that you're going to be able to work with, all right? I've used the number 2 filbert brush, has been added to my group of paint brushes, and it works very, very well, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and move up to the different colors that Calvin will use for his face colors. All right, and this is, once again, one of those things where I need to try to find this and navigate this a little bit.
The hue. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a... We are moving from the lightest color, and we are gradually moving it to the darkest. Starting with light flesh, tan yellow, bright orange, this is Warlord purple,
here is the completed palette for Calvin creating his colors for his flesh tones. Now, Calvin is I think is a trained artist in the use of these colors. This is one of the reasons why we buy flesh tone sets. I'll be doing a review on the Ammo flesh tone set. I have the Vallejos. Okay, I've used the Andrea, and those basically help us beginners, so we don't have to do the mixing. But you can also do your own mixing if you want to, if you choose to do that, to find that correct tone of that highlight in the flesh tones. But this is how Calvin goes ahead and does this. I'm going to go ahead and move all the way up to the highlights, because the other review I did will talk also about the use of a filbert brush for the coverage. All right, I'm going to go up all the way to number 23, and let's see if I can find that right away.
Alright, so as you can see, me just dabbing, just lightly touching the surface. Consistency of the paint is optimal, and just dab it beyond.
And now this still just simply shows you as he's laid down the foundation, the base tone, and how he's using the round instead of a filbert brush to add the highlights to this. Okay, how he does this, and it takes a lot of patience. You have to be able to thin your paints just right, and always make sure that you do a lot of unloading, okay, when you do this. I'm going to jump all the way up to the completed face, if I can find that portion of the DVD quickly here. And then you'll be able to see what the completed face is all about and done with.
So if you look, alright, roll helps us to, or rather this more or less concludes the chapter on painting the face.
And there's what his completed face looks like. Okay, now if you once again get into the DVD, he'll explain the different steps and the different processes that you'll go through as you're going up and looking at this, and how you get this done with the paints that he has and the brushes that he has. Okay, the next part of this DVD will deal with using the painting of the hands, which is pretty much the same technique, but it is a little bit different because you're dealing with hands. We're going to go ahead and look and see what the uniform and how you go about begin painting that with those different colors. So I'm going to go ahead and jump all the way up here, okay, to this section right here.
We form the, alright, I'm going to use a bit of the light flash here to line up all the colors that I'm going to use.
And these are his mixes for the beginning of the Tanker overalls, and he'll also add what he has is Tamiya flat base. I and some of the other figure painters we use the Ultra Matte paint, and you can get that from Ammo. I use it from AK, is the Ultra Matte, and we go ahead and mix those with our acrylics to guarantee a really truly matte color, so there's absolutely no shine to this. But these are the colors that he's going to use, and he's going to mix them up. And also he uses that paint retarder, okay, that will slow the drying process of the acrylic paints. All right, we're going to go ahead and move up to see a little bit in the next still about what it looks like as he's beginning to paint.
Sky blue and the red. So for this particular exercise, we're going to do is going to use a much bigger brush. Previously, this was a number 2 brush that we're using. So I'm going to switch from a number 2 brush that was used for the mixing of the colors to a number 6 brush. So
and you see he's going to use the wider brush to get more coverage on the figure as he begins that process of getting him painted in there. Okay, and this just allows, and there you go. This is what he's using and how he's applying the paint with this wider brush. And this is just the first coat. Okay, and it's very thin. It's almost like he says, it's almost like a wash as he's gone into this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move up to the next portion, which will talk about creating shadows in the different folds of the clothing that he has there.
The surface you want during the process of painting process. Right, flat areas. We are now dealing with very, very narrow. Now we are going to move to while waiting for the shadow areas.
And you see as he's doing this, he's using a darker color, okay, to go into the recesses and creases. He's using a round brush for this, not the filbert brush he used for coverage, okay. And once again, it's a very, very good technique to use this in those creases. And he'll explain these things in great detail as he goes through. Okay. Okay. Now to start the second DVD, I just want to emphasize to you, the second DVD is a lot about different techniques that Calvin uses. So I'll be kind of jumping around when we go through this second DVD. But this shows you the colors he's going to use for the back part of the uniform. But also you notice he's introduced a blister pack from an old pill case. Hey, this is for more specialized colors he's going to use, and he's also going to be mixing. Now, you'll notice he also has white paper, that's white napkins back behind there. Don't forget to always do unloading of your brush. It'll create a lot less hassle. It'll create a lot less watermarks on your brushes. So it's a very, very good technique that he has using this. Okay, and you'll notice just what he has for the colors of his uniform. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump up here to the next part, which talks about the use of the different brushes and why you want to have those brushes used the way you do.
Gently and as slowly as possible. So look, alright, and if you paint it, you can see the effect is not...
Okay, and this is what happens if you use a rounded brush, as he'll explain in the video, and you'll get pooling of water, and that's not what you want to have. You want to be able to have a smooth flow of paint. You want to make sure that your brush is unloaded enough, but this is also what happens when you have an overloaded round brush and then not using a filbert brush. Okay, now there's all different kinds of things that he's going to talk about here in this DVD, so we're going to move on to the next part, and this will talk about creating the highlights on his figure. If I can move up to this portion right here and see if I get kind of close.
Help very gentle. Remember the highlights, right? You can be very bold.
Okay, here he's putting highlights in for the back of the jacket, and this is a term that's going to be used, is called diffusion. This is when he'll take a filbert brush then and go ahead and take that paint and spread it out instead of leaving it in such what you see there, the mask there. And of course the filbert brush has to be dried, your paint has to be staying fairly wet. Okay, but this is called diffusion, and it works very, very well on all of our figures to bring out the highlights and things like this after you've created some depth. I'm going to move up to the next portion, and we'll go here to this part, and let's see if I can come close.
So you can see we want to sort of move almost in a semicircular motion, you see? Just look.
Okay, now he's talking about glazing here, and what you'll notice is you'll see the round brush he's going to use, and he's going to extenuate the highlights of the folds that you see in the tanker jacket. Once again, it's an outstanding way of doing this. Okay, I'm going to move up to what it looks like if you have the completed.
Right now we're going to move on to the boots. Just tabbing.
To the back part.
So it's almost as if we are trying to render clouds, on this particular surface here. So very gentle, just a light touch. Remember, just a light touch.
This is diffusing.
You want to get a soft effect, just a light touch. Okay?
I apologize for letting that run like I did, but this kind of shows you what the completed back looks like. And boy, like I said, it's done very, very well. Okay? The next part we'll move into is going to be working on his boots. Okay.
So as it sets, you can see the color weakens.
And there you see, as he's base painted the boots black, then he starts adding different tones to it of different browns. And this creates a very worn effect on the boots. And this is his own section in this DVD, just deals with this. I'm going to jump up to work on what he's going to talk about with the headgear. If I can get to that point right here.
Now is I'm going to create an intermediate shadow. We have the base color painted in, and what we're going to do is you're going to make the intermediate.
And you notice how his palette is a very, very busy
from
palette.
And
this is the back part.
Checking out the consistency of the paint. Alright, testing it out on the background.
Making sure he has the flow correct on his brush.
Yeah, making sure we have a smooth distribution of paint. Right, and then it's almost like a wash. Almost.
And then in this part, he's going to explain to you how he goes about working on the headgear. There's also a technique he's going to use, which is going to be like a dry brushing. that he'll use after he applies these basics to this. Okay, I'm going to move all the way up here and kind of show you what it looks like when he's done some detail painting, which is also very outstanding.
10 yellow. Full of strokes, you can see in terms of how the paint is working. Right, and the elastic sleeves at the wrists.
And you see, and that's just using a 00 Winsor Newton brush, and he's excellent about doing these. In this video part, when he's talking about painting the final details, okay, how he holds it, the figure, and the patience he has to do those fine details is really, really good. And we can do that as average Joe modelers. That's what's nice about this DVD set. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move up to showing you a little bit more, if I can get to that point up here.
A very blended appearance.
That's what his palette looks like towards the end of this process. Okay, and once again, it's a very, very busy palette. Ours should always look like this. And the use of the blister packs, and notice that he's also done a lot of unloading on the napkin. You always need to make sure you unload. There's a lot of odds and ends in this second DVD that he goes ahead and explains. If I can get up to the portion right here.
And this is the outline, so I'm going to test firstly using a clean brush. So this will get.
And there he is, he's working on painting the details. He'll bring that back a little bit with the other colors so it's not as stark. Okay, but as you can see at the end, you see what he's done for the different details of the jacket underneath the overalls. Okay, just an amazing bit of work here. Okay, I'm going to skip all the way down here just to show you, okay, a piece of what he does for detailing. And this is a painting of the shoulder patch.
Now we're going to paint, get medium. Here's the pro.
And there he is. This section of the DVD deals with painting the helmet, painting the shoulder patch, the final details. You see what he's done on this plastic figure. Now, this is a plastic figure from Tamiya, not a resin figure. Okay, and he's done a great job of the shoulder straps. You see him working and this is not a decal, this is freehand of him painting that shoulder patch. All right, so, and this is part of the special section about the helmet too. Once again, this 2 DVD set is valuable for us average Joe modelers, but also if you're a veteran modeler, okay, that want to try to improve some techniques, this is also a great pickup. Well, like I say, over 3 hours of instruction, tutorials, okay, and it's not information that we've always had. Okay, it just shows you how you can apply these things, which is very good. So with that, we'll conclude this and wrap this up from this edition of 35th Scale Figures in Review. Stop by lastcavalry.com and you can pick up both the beginning basic DVD, which is what I have now showing you, and the other previous review I did on the advanced one. So until next time, we'll see you later, folks.